Hey guys, it's Richie. Hope you guys are all doing well. Today I wanted to talk about the future of Dead by Daylight's player base, or rather, I guess, the future after the FNAF chapter. The FNAF chapter is going to bring in an absolutely gigantic, titanic number of new players, and I really don't think they're going to be sticking around, so let's talk about why I think that is. For anyone who had seen my videos or maybe was subscribed to my channel before my last two DBD videos blew up a tiny bit, you might have noticed that I have actually already made this video on my channel, and you'll also notice that that video is gone. So I'm kind of just re-recording it with, the completely brand new voiceover because I kind of wasn't too happy with how that video ended up. I just feel like I didn't really explain myself, I didn't elaborate enough on my thoughts towards this situation, so I kind of just wanted to have another shot at it, especially now since more people might see it, since I've been getting some viewership, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, I just want to talk about why I think we're not really going to see a very long-lasting increase to the player base with this Five Nights at Freddy's chapter. We're going to see a big spike, and then numbers are going back to normal. So again, I want to reiterate that this chapter is absolutely massive. This is the most liked chapter announcement on Twitter last time I checked. Last year it got absolutely ridiculous amount of traction. Despite being around for only about a decade, Five Nights at Freddy's is the face of indie horror at this point, if it can even be considered indie, and honestly, it's on the same level as these big legacy horror franchises that we have in DVD, like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Chucky, Scream, etc., Saw, stuff like that. I mean, when it comes to this chapter specifically, this license for DVD specifically, it's going to bring in much larger numbers than any of those ever did. Not to say that those chapters weren't important. I mean, Halloween is probably the most important chapter in the game's history. It's what really put DVD on the map. But this is really going to usher in, the DVD renaissance, if you ask me. We could very well see the all-time peak high player base count right now when this chapter drops, and it's very likely that DBD will never hit those numbers ever again. I fully expect a brand new all-time high to be broken when this chapter drops next month, and I don't think this game is ever going to hit that high again, if I'm being honest. Moreover, I think that the vast majority of these new players, probably over 70%, maybe even over 80% of these new players that we get from this FNAF chapter are not going to be sticking around for much longer afterwards. They're going to launch the game, they're going to try out Springtrap, which queue times are probably going to be abysmal, and we'll talk about that, and they're going to play a couple games, stop playing, probably never launch the game ever again, man, I'm going to be honest. So let's talk about why I think that is. This all boils down to pretty much just one issue, being that the brand new player experience for Dead by Daylight is some of the most atrocious I have ever seen in any game in my entire life. Multiplayer or not, it is genuinely awful. It's horrible. And this is for a myriad of reasons. And other people have brought this up, but again, the new player experience needs to be at the best it could possibly be for all of these new players that are going to be coming in from Five Nights at Freddy's. And right now, I don't really think it is. The first thing I want to talk about is kind of just how much grind there is. The amount of blood points you need to meaningfully progress through your blood web and start acquiring good perks and characters is a lot. It's been remedied from the past. The grind used to be way worse, to be fair, but it's still a lot. A very big factor that contributes to this is the fact that perk tiers still exist. How this is the case is completely beyond me. I have no idea why we still have perk level 1, 2, 3 still appearing in the blood web. That's something that should have been gone years ago. How it's still sticking around to this day, again, it's beyond me. I mean, to level up any killer or survivor, to level 50, you're probably looking at something like 1 million blood points, and that's a lot. And if you have a big enough pool of teachables already unlocked, that's probably not going to be enough blood points to get all the perks that you want for your build. In addition to this, you also have to manage add-ons. For killer powers especially, there are some killers that are really add-on reliant, and you're going to need these add-ons if you want to play. And some of these add-ons are of the higher rarities, and you got to dump a lot of blood points into the blood web to get a good amount of them. That's really tedious. Now granted, DBD has introduced stuff to kind of help with this blood point stuff, like the brand new quest system, which, even though most people tend to dislike it, I honestly think I like it better than the daily rituals, because I literally never use the daily rituals, man. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. On top of this, they also have the daily gift in the shop, and an increased blood point cap of over 5 million now, so that's pretty cool. but I really do think that the grind is too much, even with all these changes. Removing perk tiers would be a fantastic step in the right direction. I really don't see a reason why it should be a thing anymore. That's something that should have been gone a long time ago. But in reality, the real reason, the core reason why I think people are not going to stick around actually isn't because of progression. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty big hurdle for a lot of players, not having all the good perks that are commonly being used in the meta, or not having the good characters, stuff like that. But if I'm being honest here, I really do think the real issue is simply the fact that DBD is a very hard game. When you first start playing, the game is pretty scary. I mean, you're gonna get scared, your heart's gonna be racing, especially a survivor. For the first 5 to 10, maybe 15 hours, it's gonna feel like a horror game. Then, if you keep playing past that, you get the realization, right? You get the realization that DBD isn't a horror game, this is a competitive game. This is a fucking sweat fest, dude. The in-game tutorial gives you the absolute bare-bone minimums to what you need to know in order to play the game at a completely not brain-dead level. But to say the in-game tutorial is good is a pretty big stretch, if you ask me. The reality is that a ton of people are going to be trying to play this brand new chapter, and the killer queue times are going to be absolutely miserable because Springtrap is the only brand new addition in terms of a playable character here. They didn't add a survivor, so there's literally no incentive to play as survivor. The killer queue times are going to be what's absolutely atrocious. So everyone's going to be trying to play killer, right? And all these brand new baby killers are going to be trying out Springtrap for the first time. And they're going to get absolutely demolished, absolutely smashed by the people who actually have been playing this game for a good amount of time up until now. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of players consider 1,000 hours in DBD to be about average. The amount of basic game knowledge that you need as killer or survivor to just be able to match the average player's skill level and have fun and play the game at a decent level is kind of ridiculous. And this is something that, in my opinion, requires either an unbelievable amount of time put into the game or studying the game like you're studying for a final exam. There's tons of resources online about how to loop correctly, or covering basic killer mind games, going over stuff like micro and macro and, gen defense and stuff like that. But how many people picking up the game for the first time do you genuinely think are going to take the time and effort to look up these resources, learn them, like study them, because you literally have to unless you want to spend a bunch of hours just learning it passively, and then trying to apply it in-game actively and just dedicating a bunch of time into this? The answer is the vast majority of people are not going to do that. I mean, they just got other games to play, other shit to do. Yes, you can say that the new player experience is miserable for reasons like the community's kind of bad and progression sucks, but in reality, the biggest hurdle, like I've been talking about, is absolutely the gameplay. DBD just is not an easy game to pick up as killer or survivor. As killer, if you run into a survivor squad that even halfway knows what they're doing, you're going to get smashed if you have no experience. I mean, when I first started killer, I could barely even track scratch marks. These guys aren't going to know how to run tiles effectively. They're just going to get completely and totally dunked on, 0 kills for the vast majority of their first couple games. And honestly, that feels like shit when you're first starting. And it's the same concept as Survivor, by the way. If they fight a killer that halfway knows what they're doing, they're going to lose at 4 gens, literally. These guys aren't going to know what a TL wall is, or short and long wall jungle gyms, or how to run shack effectively, or how to play around killer mind games, or the concept of 50-50s. I mean, this is all kind of foreign to them. Now, to be fair, a lot of people might be assuming that I'm kind of undervaluing the skill of these new players, like maybe they are familiar with the concept of mind games and 50-50s, but you guys have to remember, DBD pretty much has no competitors. DBD is the only standing and successful asymmetrical horror game with the concept of, one killer versus a group of survivors, or whatever, right? VHS failed years ago, Friday the 13th failed years ago, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre just announced today, actually, May 13th, the day of recording of this video, that they are ceasing updates, so you can throw that one into the bin too. When starting a game for the first time, a lot of players can kind of transfer their skill set from other games onto this new one. Like if you're picking up a new first-person shooter, if you're familiar with the genre, you might ease into it better. Picking up a MOBA, if you played something like League of Legends, again, you might ease into it better. There is nothing that you could possibly transfer over to DBD, unless these players miraculously played some of these games that I mentioned that shut down before, which I highly doubt is the case. This video is going on for a little bit longer than I'd wanted to, so I'm just going to wrap up by saying this is all okay. DBD doesn't need to be a super widely accessible game. It doesn't need to have an absolutely gargantuan player base, even though people are probably going to throw out the accusation of the game is dying and oh my god, look at this drop-off, biggest fall-off in history. Guys, this was inevitable. I'm sorry, but the core gameplay loop just isn't easy to pick up. This game is not easy. It's a hard game, alright? And the vast majority of people are not willing to put in the time and effort to learn it. And that's okay. The game has been doing fine for the past 9 years. I'm sure that it'll keep doing fine. It's making money, it's self-sustaining, it's self-sufficient. It's not like DBD is some super niche game. It's absolutely out there. People know what it is. It's just not easy to pick up, and that's alright. Still though, I do think steps could be taken to improve the new player experience, but talking about what they could do for that is probably a topic for another video, so I'll save that for later. Let me know what you guys think, though. Do you guys think that the majority of the player base that joins for this chapter is going to stick around? Do you think maybe we're going to see some lasting increase that actually doesn't fall off? I'd be interested to hear y'all's reasoning, but I really don't think that anything like that's going to happen. We're going to see a big fall off, and player numbers are probably just going to return to what they were before the chapter, which, again, is totally fine. On top of DBD content and discussion videos like this, I also upload stuff on Pokémon Pocket, and I also stream over here on YouTube and on Twitch. Links will be in the description below. Thanks for watching all the way till the end, and I'll see you guys around. Take care.